Hi guys, welcome back to RT where respiratory therapists live out loud with me, your host, Linda Fry, the Asthma Lady. Yes, welcome back everyone. Welcome back to anybody new. I'm super excited today because I have another guest co-host. We have Atien Kouassi. I hope I said that correct, but he's here today as another RTpreneur, which is a respiratory therapist that has their own business or side gig that just gives them joy and they can put their passion in the field. So today he's going to tell us about what he does and how this brings an impact to the patients and the community that he serves. So, hi, Etienne, and welcome. I'm gonna give the brief bio about him, and then he's gonna do his thing. So, Atien Kouassi served in the Navy as a hospital corpsman for 8 years, then became a respiratory therapist for 10 years with an interest in PFT early in his career. He is passionate about PFT and quality improvement, advocating for safety, affordable, and equitable healthcare, entrepreneur, U.S. Navy veteran, hospital husband and father, Christian with the faith in the future of humanity. Thank you so much for being here with us today, Etienne. I'm happy you are here with us. Thank you for your time. Thank you for being a viewer. Thank you for being a supporter of RT Share T. We appreciate you. So I know your story. I know about your business. I'm gonna just give you the floor and let you do your thing and tell me about yourself.
Thank you, Linda. Back at you. Thank you so much for all you do for our community, the RT community. I was really impressed and happy to, have discovered you, your podcast,
Thank
the
you.
stuff you do
Thank
there.
you.
The RT world is not as well known as some of the other um, medical professions.
Right.
Uh, I guess the pandemic kind of brought us out to the light there, but
Right. Oh
before
yeah.
that, it was just we were just the unsung heroes. So thank you for what you do, and I'm happy to be here. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to share my story.
Yes, thank you, thank you. I appreciate that. I thank you for listening to the content and all that you do in the PFT world. So yes, so wait, can you tell me more about that? Like what got you interested in the RT field first? Like what made you say, okay, this is a field for me, and how did you segue into PFT?
Okay. Well, so it all started in the military. I was actually in training
Wow.
in Camp Pendleton, and a person, and one of our instructors was a respiratory therapist. And I don't know, somehow she had a contract with the school where she came and taught airway. And
Wow.
so she was so good at her job that, wow, I was like, wow, what do you do? You're a nurse, And she's like, no, I'm a respiratory therapist at this hospital.
Wow.
And that's how she kind of sold it there. She was great. I mean, she was an expert in airway. She knew pretty much, knew all the answers we had regarding airways. And we were just, as a corpsman, as a hospital corpsman, you're pretty much like a medic. You're a medic, a combat medic, pretty much.
Okay.
And
Okay.
so
That's good to
she,
know. I didn't know that.
yeah,
Mhm.
so she, pretty much came in and did her portion of the training, and I was like, wow, this is great. So fast forward, a few years later, got out, and I've been enrolled in RT school. And
Okay.
I remember my first interview with the program director. He was also a veteran, Air Force veteran, and a PFT
Wow.
guy.
Okay.
So we connected quickly there. And the gentleman pretty much told me right there after my interview, he said, I think you're going to be a great RT, And I was
Nice.
like, oh, I mean, I guess that's what he tells, all of his, candidate here, But, I figured he probably saw something. He probably saw
Okay.
something that I probably didn't even know then, that I had such a passion for, not only healthcare but RT.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, from that moment. So early on in school, I volunteered, to do what we called, a respiratory therapy at the Capitol. So we had an instructor who did some. It was more like a way for her to expose the RT field out there and kind of
Okay.
find a better advocate for us. So
Nice.
every year we would go. They'll have an event at the Capitol, Sacramento here locally, and
Okay.
she happened to be doing PFT that year, and she was one of my instructors, and she's like, hey, I need volunteers and stuff. And I raised my hand. We went, and I didn't know what PFT was about besides the
Okay.
brief introduction in class, but I went in there and learned. We did simple spirometry on people out there, and that was it. I saw that, I was like, wow, you know this is another level. Yes, we're going to school to learn to save people's lives,
Right.
to make sure we give the right medication to the right patient for
Mm-hmm.
their disease management and all stuff. But this is different because this right here allows me to see things before they happen.
Right.
And so it's
Okay.
more like a moment to teach, and a moment to educate the patient, because most
Right.
of the time in ICU,
Educate
in
and
ER,
coach.
you have no time. Yeah, you have no time to educate them, and
Right.
even if you want to educate, they're not listening at that time,
Mm-hmm.
because they have bigger fish to fry then. So it was that actually led me to look more into PFT. And as you all know, all the RTs listening, it's unusual for a new grad to become a pulmonary function technologist,
Up front.
because
That's a fact.
not only not only it's not it's not usual, but also it's just like something people don't really you know people don't think about doing that fresh out of school. We're
Right.
thinking about just
Acute
learning the
care.
skills, the acute care skills and stuff like that. And
Right.
so for me, having that exposure already in school kind of like opened my eyes in that field. And again, when I first started my as an RT, I think I was an RT for 2 years,
Okay.
and I got approached by someone who used to do spirometry at the doctor's office, and I
Okay.
guess she was getting ready to move out of town, and she was looking for a replacement. And she heard that I had some, interest in PFT, and so she asked me if I would, at least give it a shot. And I was like, yes, So, excuse me, we went in. I tried it, and I love the space. I love the environment. I love the people there. It was a
Right.
pulmonology office. As an RT, if you work with pulmonologists closely, you know that they really appreciate what we do.
Right.
And they're very encouraging too, to what we do. So it was, a quick connection there. And so I started working at that office for about 2-3 years,
Okay.
um, and as a part time, while I had my acute care set
The
up
acute
as
care
a
job.
full-time.
Right. As
uh,
usual. Uh-huh.
PFT tech at the hospital where I currently work happened to be retiring after 30 years of service.
Ah, okay. So
So
that was your chance to.
so that was a chance to get in. She, and the word was already out there. People knew I had experience with PFT, and I mean, we had about 70 staff, and
Okay.
when the opportunity presented itself, none of these people had PFT credentials.
Right.
So I
Mm-hmm.
was at the right place at the right time.
Right place at
And
the right
so,
time. You
yeah,
see,
and so
and it started
when
with volunteering. Like
yeah,
people don't people
yeah,
don't understand, and just to put a little something in to your story, and I speak about that on several episodes. When you start to be curious, and it's not just about the money, like you're just like, I wonder how that is, and you volunteer, to see, just to get your foot wet. That really does lead you to taking control of your career, because you start to see where you want to go. versus it just being about the, about the money.
Yeah, actually, it's just I was so like I said, it was a different aspect of respiratory that you know I didn't know. We didn't know much. We didn't learn much about it in school, but it was out there, and I noticed that most people that were in the lab, in the PFT lab, were lifers. I mean, they will be there until they retire. And in my case, at the hospital where I
Right.
was, people, the manager, she was there for 41 years, you know, and so when when they heard that I had some IT PFT experience, they approached me, and I accepted the position, and here I
Nice.
am today. Today
Beautiful.
I am the lead of the PFT lab, and I enjoy advocating for our lab to you know uh, grow. I mean, we historically they hired 2 or 3 people in the lab, but our
Okay.
patient load has grown so much, especially with the pandemic, with other labs around closing down. We having more people referred to our hospital, to our clinic. So we advocated, with the administration to have more equipment and more staff.
Okay.
And so I became more like a recruiter. I go to the
Okay. So you became the voice, the
the voice,
recruiter.
yeah, yeah,
Very
and just
nice.
started
Very
talking
nice.
to started talking to my peers. Hey, try this out. This, and so so far it have been some great response. I had in the past year I had 4 people who went to sit for the PFT credentials already.
Great.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I also I tell folks, yes, go for those specialty credentials, add the letters behind your name. It really does increase you just want to keep adding value to yourself, invest in yourself. I always say that. And so, when something happens, you are a person of value and you can literally just go up and go wherever you want. Um, Okay, so yes, that is amazing. So what made you say, uh-huh, this, you know what? This is the time to start my own business. Like what gave you the spark? Like, okay, I can do this, or should I do this? Like,
Yeah.
how did you get there?
Yeah. Yeah. So first, it was just starting in the lab. I noticed when I first moved in that lab, like I mentioned earlier, the flow of patients. I mean, we couldn't handle the patients.
Okay.
We had patients
Mhm.
waiting in line for 3 months on average to be
Wow.
seen for PFT.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, no, man, this needs to there got to be a better way. And so I started researching, to see if there was a way to be able to do that outside of the main hospitals, because mostly the PFT labs are usually within the biggest hospital systems in
Right.
town.
The bigger
And,
ones.
and so I was just like, is there any way to have a setup in doctors' offices, to so I started looking more into that, and I approached a few pulmonologists that I work with, brought the idea. They loved it. Most of them were like, oh, well, we don't have the space, we don't have the room here, you know. So then I started looking more and seeing if there were some kind of um, portability in the PFT equipment. Like, do we have any smaller equipment? Do we have equipment on wheel? And
Mm-hmm.
so looking into that, I found a couple of companies out there, approached them, and got a few quotes, and it was feasible.
Started your own.
And so I just went in and I said, you know what, I don't have any benchmark you know to try to look up to, but I know this is gonna bring value to our patients. It's gonna bring value
Mm-hmm.
to
Okay.
whatever clinic that's gonna want to partner with me. It's gonna bring value to everyone.
Right.
From
So
the, the
that's
consumer,
amazing.
the
Okay, so
payers,
that's
and
great.
yeah.
You're
So that's how.
making PFT. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to wrap my mind around how you were working and you saw that, this is something I like to do. And then you were like, okay, well, clearly there's a problem here because there's not enough um we don't have enough the capacity to take these patients. So let me create, a stream or make it easier for the patient to get PFTs, right? Which is a needed, we all know as respiratory, that is a needed, diagnostic tool for, all the pulmonary diseases to see what's going on. And so, especially during COVID time, we know that this is a challenge for patients to get to pulmonary function, to get to these labs.
Yes.
What were, if there were any, what were your challenges in starting and going on this path?
Yeah, there were a few challenges, and that's going to happen regardless of what you do in life. It's going to be challenging. But again, my drive, was, I guess, stronger than whatever challenges I faced. The main challenge for me was to be able to really find someone to get some ideas from, like, let's say a company, like a benchmark, like there has never been any independent PFT lab that I've seen or that I've heard of around here. I went online, looked everywhere. So it was really hard, when you start a business, you want to see, who else doing
your
that.
baseline competition.
Yeah, exactly. Do like your SWOT analysis and kind of like, but I was just like, couldn't find some information because, it's never been done before, at least, at least,
in your
as long as
area.
So it was hard. So then I started to kind of, take more like a stepwise approach to things. Like, hey, first we're gonna do, this. We're gonna check with, licensing. We're gonna check with, the regulatory people and see, if it's something feasible, and then from there, look at, the financing. Look, see if it's, if it's something that's gonna, crunch the numbers. See if it's gonna make sense.
Gotta crunch the numbers.
Yeah, is it gonna be, a long-term business, or it's going to be something you do quickly and get out, so you got to look at all this. And then the third thing is also finding partners, physician partners that are willing, or also sympathetic to the idea, and thank God I was able to find a few like that, because again, one thing that I want to throw out there is networking. RTs, we need to network, and if it wasn't for my networking capacity, then I wouldn't have been able to start any, this business. So, yeah.
I don't even want to cut you, because listen, last week I was my last episode, I was just talking about that with promoting the asthma education program. And I'm telling people it's not one of those jobs where you can sit behind your computer and just email people or just, it's an active engagement. When you want to sell these programs, you have to network. And I meet other people who do similar things, and sometimes they don't understand why it's not successful, or they can't enroll the patients that they need to. They're not meeting their targets. It's because you're not networking. You're not, what I'm saying? You have to get out there, and you can't be scared to talk about what you offer and what you provide to the community. You got to put your heart in it, and people got to see you.
That's true. And that's a big piece. That's a big piece to being an entrepreneur. You have to really get out there. And so, I guess I kind of digress on that, on your question there, but pretty much, my challenges were mainly, just not being able to find, someone to look up to, in order to guide me in my business.
No playbook.
Yes, no playbook. Yeah. And then the second big thing is also, and I'm sure most, RTs, when they get into entrepreneurship, it's possible, but it's a challenge because we are not able to build insurance companies yet.
Right.
So I know it's something that's being worked on,
Right. The telehealth market.
Telehealth. So, but there's ways around it. It's all, again, networking. Find the right people, the right team, There's a bunch of NPs and PAs and physicians that could help you, could partner with you and get stuff done. And so that was, I guess, if I wanted to sum up, those were the two main challenges for me. Being able to try to bill, and also finding a playbook.
Networking. These are, you got to just get your name out there, the business and everything out there. Okay. So if there are any respiratory therapists that, what advice would you give to a respiratory therapist that's just like, okay, I have an idea. What should I do with this? Like,
well, you got to have a burning desire, just to really achieve that, that is because, ideas pop up here and there,
right.
You got naysayers, you got, people, starting from your family, hey, that will not happen. That cannot happen. I mean, no one has ever been able to do that before. Do you even see someone with that kind of business? No.
Right.
So, those things. But then, I heard all these things, right? But I was like, you know what? I'm not a business savvy person. I'm not, I've never done this before. I don't see any company out there, but I know this will work. I just know it will work because there's a need for it,
And you got the passion.
Yeah. And that's exactly, you said it, that's passion. You got to be passionate about that idea. So don't let it just be an idea. You need to be passionate about it.
Yes. And then thank you so much for that. We are the same person. I love when I meet people that they get it. Like they get it. It's not luck. It's not, you're not just out here wasting time or just trying to make quick money. You really are trying to impact lives but still secure a future for your family. You know what I'm saying? So thank you so much for that, Atien. Well, you know what? I enjoyed having you as a co-host today on RT Share Tea. And this is what RT Share Tea is about. It's just sharing our experiences in the field and how we have grown and the what we see in the future. So hopefully we can inspire others in the field or others thinking about being in the field to go with their heart's desire and to just live passionately and out loud and make their money. Right?
Thank you, Linda.
So Atien, before we go, is there anything you want to plug? Go ahead. This is your time to plug anything that you're doing. Where's the business? Where can we find you? What's going on? Go ahead.
Well, so you can find me online at Rapha Mobile Pulmonary Function Test.com. In Sacramento, we're located in Sacramento, California. We are mobile, so if doctor's office has a interest in having PFT at the office, we can come in, just set up, don't need a big room, and just see the patients. And usually it's easier because we do the PFT, we see the patient's gone, 2-in-1, done. And so that's the ideal model for what we have right now. We also do home visit in some cases,
nice. Much needed.
Yes, home visit, because again, the idea about creating this mobile setup is also to be able to cater to patients that are have mobility challenges,
Right.
And so we do those visits as well.
Thank you. This was great. I'm always happy to have other people co-hosts like you, so we can get different perceptions of how to do these things. And when people get the aha moment, they can look at other people that's like, well, if this person was able to do this, I should be able to do it too. Thank you so much, Atien, again, for being here with me today. Great to have you. Guys, I hope you learned something here today. And don't forget that we are here. RT Share Tea is here every Wednesday, 6 p.m. Eastern Time on Google Podcasts. And we are also here on YouTube every Thursday. And so thank you so much for being here. And remember to invest in yourself and to only compete with yesterday's version of you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.